Hi everyone, I am Dr. Synrang Batngen Warjri. I am a cardiologist here at Shillong, and I am working at my own clinic, the Shillong Heart Clinic, and I operate at the Supercare Hospital. Yeah. So today we are going to talk about heart health, especially in young adults. What the age under 40 should know. There are things that are specifically very important for under 40 years. So imagine being in your 30s and you're active and working when a sudden heart attack changes everything. It may sound shocking, but this is becoming more common among many people less than 40 years of age. And heart attacks are now no longer just a disease of old age. In fact, in India, they are rising at an alarming rate among younger adults, often striking people in the prime of their working and family lives. So, what is a heart attack? A heart attack happens when the blood flow to the heart is suddenly blocked, usually by a blood clot. When the blood supply gets cut off, the heart muscle will not receive the oxygen supply and they get damaged. And when that damaged becomes permanent, it can lead to death. Now, this can be very sudden, but these problems, even though they appear sudden, they do not appear overnight. They develop slowly and silently over many years. They are, in fact, a sum total result of what you have been doing since your 20s, your 30s, and your 40s. The choices that you make every day through these years, what you eat, how active are you, how well did you sleep, how did you manage stress, whether you smoke or not. These factors determine the result of your heart health. Now, how common are heart attacks in young people? Over the past few years, deaths due to heart attacks have increased sharply, almost a 12.5% jump in 2022 alone. Even more worrying is that of all the heart attacks, half of all heart attacks in India happen in men before the age of 50, and 1 in 4 occurs before 40. So that is very alarming. It means that Indians are having heart attacks even younger, much younger than their counterparts in Western world. So why is it that this is happening? Why is it that young hearts are at risk of such heart attacks? Basically, the most important factor is our lifestyle. We have changed our lifestyle. The way we lived has basically changed over the years. We live a very unhealthy lifestyle, unhealthy diets. There is a lack of exercise. There's high stress levels at work, at home, and people smoke a lot. There's alcohol used, and there's a rising obesity. Obesity is also one very big problem. The other factors are blood pressure problems which are not controlled, diabetes problems which they're not regular with medications. That has also contributed to a very high risk of heart attacks in these young generations. Study shows that these factors, all these factors, they begin to affect the heart long before these symptoms appear. And that's why it's so dangerous, because you might be having a problem in your heart, but you will not realize it until a serious problem occurs. That is when a heart attack occurs. The heart attack is exactly a final moment in a very long journey that that has affected your heart from your 20s, your 30s, and your 40s. And then add to that what has happened in the few years ago. COVID has happened, and there are still lingering effects of that infection, still affecting people through this generation. So what we need to know, the good news is that many of these heart attacks are still preventable. The point is we need to act in time, and we need to act early, very early. So to understand that, we need to know how your heart goes, what happens to your heart through the decades. What are the things that you need to do through the decades? So let's look at the 20s. So if you're in your 20s, that is a time when your good habits makes a lot of difference. If at that point in your life you have a very good lifestyle, you have you know your blood pressure, you don't have a blood pressure problem, you don't have cholesterol problem, your sugar levels are good, your weight is good, you're not obese, you're active, you're not sedentary, you're not sitting in a couch and watching TV all the time, but you're active, you're playing sports, badminton, basketball, football, whatever suits you, but you're active. That's the point. And you're not smoking, either first hand or even not second hand smoke. That is a time when it makes the most difference in your life. If these good habits persist in your 20s, then it makes a very good chance, it gives you a very good chance that your heart will remain healthy through your life. It gives your heart a very, very good start. Then comes your 30s, and when your 30s come, you know your life starts to get busy. You're starting to get to work. There's stress coming in, and that's a time when you're not as free living and happy soul as you are in your 20s. But then that's the time when you start thinking about your career, you start thinking about family, and start the stress starts becoming a factor. So you need to manage stress. That's all very, very important. You gotta have relaxation times. You gotta have develop hobbies. Try to relax. Take time off from things that gives you too much stress. Those are very important. If you have a family history of heart disease, especially, then you really need to take care of yourself this time. Long-term stress will cause hypertension, will damage your arteries, and it is not good for the heart. Long-term stress. Then when you come to your 40s, in your 40s you'll probably be gaining weight. That is one thing that you'll get to know. You start to eat unhealthy food. You're not checking your blood pressure. You're not checking your cholesterol. So this is the time when you need to be take careful of this. Hypertension usually develops after 40 years. A lot of many diseases, diabetes will start coming after 40 years. So you need to check on your hypertension status, your diabetes status. If you are diabetic, if you're hypertensive, you need to start having medications, get them in control. That is very important. Also, do not ignore your weight. Try to reduce your weight. Get to a minimum within your BMI. Avoid obesity because it can be a very bad cycle. If you're obese, you can't exercise, and if you exercise, you're more likely to hurt yourself. If you're obese, then you don't exercise and your weight gains more. So stay away from being obese. Don't ignore your snoring. This is a time if you're obese, you might be snoring a lot. If you're snoring, you could be having a problem. So pay attention to that too. It's never too late. So this is the time you have to start. Then comes your 50s. In your 50s, it's a totally different issues. You already have risk factors probably. If you have risk factors, age itself is a risk factor which you can't modify. And for women especially, if you're entering a menopause, then your risk of heart disease increases. When you're not in your menopause, your hormones are kind of protective for women, but when you've reached your menopause, your risk of heart attacks and heart diseases can be excessed, can in fact become more than what men have risk at that age. So you need to control, you have to be aware of that. Again, weight gain, avoid weight gain. Try to walk more, eat home cooked food, don't too much eat too much junk food, processed food. Meet your doctor regularly and follow his advice. And even at 50s, your heart can still grow stronger and stronger as long as you keep up your good habits. So heart diseases doesn't actually start. So what you get from here is that doesn't actually start from an old age. It actually starts right from your 20s, even before that. And so you need to take care right from the start. It starts with very small steps. Everyday choices that you make can make a difference. The way you eat, the way you manage stress, that is how you give your heart a chance for a better life. So the earlier you start for your heart, the longer and healthier life you can lead. That is the message today. Thank you.